It's another JAT Drive. Woo! I feel like I should have some type of theme for the JAT Drives. And that actually, it's JAT Drive, sponsored by, that leads me to the whole JAT Drive today's topic, which is announcers. So many of you are voice actors, and so many of you want to know about voice acting and my thoughts on it as somebody that has been a voice actor for nearly 30 years, and it's basically been my whole career, whether in radio or in straight up voiceover. And so I've dealt with all of it, and a lot of auditions in that process. I'm on my way to a job right now that I can't tell you about. I know, isn't that nice of me? And yet I want to talk about when you get a piece of audition copy. So often it says, we don't want an announcer. Shouldn't sound like an announcer. No announcers, please. Non-announcery. But my question is, to all these people that say this all the time, is, what is an announcer? Because in my head, an announcer was what I was doing in the beginning. And so everything you say is very much like this, right? But that type of announcer hasn't really existed since the 1970s and just a little bit in the 80s as a standard, okay? I mean, yes, there's plenty of places where we do them. I do them all the time for Fox and for other things. That's a little campy. It's kind of a play on an announcer. It's an over-the-top thing. And generally speaking, when you hear an announcer nowadays, you hear it like that. So I don't understand why they need to put on the copy all the time, no announcers, because if that's what they're talking about, nobody does that anymore. Here's the other thought though. What gets confusing for me, and has been for many years, at least 20 years of me doing this, when I see no announcer, I'm thinking, okay, so does that mean you don't want me just kind of telling it to you in this friendly, approachable voice that has kind of a specific tone and beat to it? Because in my opinion, that is an announcer. So, yet when I see the commercials that they're making, it ends up being something like that, our best lease ever on an all new, Toyota or whatever, Lexus or Datsun. Yes, I said Datsun. You're like, what is Datsun? It's Nissan, look it up. Anyways, the regular kind of friendly guy that's just talking like this is an announcer. So when they say no announcers, is that what they want? Because then when you get the copy actually is written very much for an announcer. And that's the whole point. We want somebody that can do it without sounding like an announcer, but I don't buy it. It's very frustrating, and at times it's very hard to read that. So the real question is, what is an actual announcer? The reason why people used to then be in this stay tuned next for an all new, was very specific. Announcers were announcers for a reason. One was clarity. They were loud and they were very specific in the way they would say words. So you knew what they were saying. Why? Because they were selling you something and they wanted to make sure you got it right. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. It was a specific beat and reason that they did it that way. And I think, honestly, I miss that. I think that there's something wrong with there not being enough of that clear speaking announcer, because what has become the normal, which in my opinion should be considered an announcer, is the guy that's just talking to you and just telling it to you like this and just saying whatever, it's a whole new world and check this out and do this and that and whatever. That's an announcer. I'm sorry, but that's an announcer. So when you say no announcers, are you saying you don't want the regular guy that's talking like that in a casual way and just kind of telling you about it? Or that friendlier one that is somewhere in here but is just telling you a diamond is forever? Or the higher pitched? Are you only saying, when you say no announcers, non-announcery sounding, that you don't want everybody to sound like this? Because who does? Nobody does. Not even guys with that voice sound like that anymore. So I think it's just kind of dumb when they put that on there. It's a given that you don't want an announcer like that. But it's not a given what kind of announcer you don't want. I know you may be if you're watching this vlog and you're not a voice actor, you may be going, what the heck is this guy talking about? Shut up already. When you audition for copy, you get what they call specifications for the voice. And so it will be like a little paragraph or a sentence or two above the copy. The copy is the script, the commercial, or the narration or the animation or whatever script, right? All the things you're going to read as the character. And the specs are for that character, the specifications of what they want that character to sound like. That's how it works when you get copy when you're doing voiceover auditions. So I'm saying all this for the people that may not know all of that. And so often in all of it, many of you that are watching this are shaking your heads, yes, you know, because when you get your copy, it says non-announcer. We don't want an announcer. No announcers, please. So what do they want? They just want somebody just kind of talking normally. In my opinion, that is an announcer nowadays, if they're clearly speaking and giving you the information in an announcer sense. So I just think it's a weird kind of thing to still put on there, because there haven't been announcers in 20 years. And if you want an announcer, you're going to say, give us that over-the-top, big, broad, old-school announcer. Now, if they say old school, then see, even that. What is old school? What's an old school announcer? Because if it's an all-new this, that, or the other, ABC, blank, 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 you know what I mean? But it's in this voice, that's an announcer, right? And that's more of a modern-day announcer. And then you've got the trailer voices that are announcers, right? It's now playing rated R, and it's a little more of this, but everything stays right in here. So I see that as an announcer. But I also see that you could have an announcer that's talking very much like this in this, and that's an announcer too. I get it. So I also see announcers being the guy that's just telling you about it. It's like the stuff I do on Sci-Fi. You know, it's an all-new Princess Bride coming up next on Sci-Fi. It's a promo I just did for them. That's an announcer. So I'm always confused when they say no announcers, yet then I hear the commercial later and I hear a guy going like this. It's an all-new da-da-da-da-da coming up next. Well, that's an announcer voice. It's just a modern-day announcer. So they should say no modern-day announcers. No retro announcers, no modern day announcers. They should be very clear on it, but they're not. It's just, I think my whole point is just, they've gotten lazy in the descriptions. And the other thing is, what's wrong with an announcer voice? There's nothing wrong with announcer voices, in my opinion. That helps sell a product sometimes, because there's an authority to it. And they'll say, we don't want any announcers, but he should have a calm, authoritative, confident sound to his voice. That's an announcer. Anyways, trying to decipher what places want is part of the game as a voice actor, and that's what I thought this vlog would be kind of a fun one to talk about today, and just give you some idea of what we kind of deal with on a regular basis. It feels like they go through so many different hoops to try to explain what they want without actually explaining anything of what they really want, because what they truly want is an announcer, but they don't want an announcer because they'll be like, it's too announcery, yet that's what they end up going with. I don't know, it's confusing. It really is. And maybe this vlog makes no sense. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. Maybe this is just my therapy with all of you that are fellow voice actors that watch this and go, yeah, it's frustrating. Just be you. Just be you on that. Just read it like you. That's the other thing too, is everybody wants something so different. We want something really different and confident and unique and subtle and but with gravitas, and they throw all these words in, and yet it's just like, it means nothing. All it really means is once you hear somebody that you like, you're gonna go with that. So my thing is, when you get a piece of copy like that and you're kind of like, what do I do? Be you. Put it out there. Be comfortable and be confident and be you, and whatever that is. I have various forms of confident, comfortable James to different degrees and different ages, So if it's something young, I might be up in there, but I'm still gonna play it kind of casual and conversational. I'll just tell you all about it. It's all new. It's coming up next. If they want a little more 30 to 40 something, then I might take the same kind of approach. I'm still just telling you about it, but I'm just dropping it down in my tone a little bit. And then if they want an older, somebody, a little more storyteller, I might put just a little texture in the voice, and I speak a little lower in here. I think of people like Jeff Bridges in my head, and I just tell that story. Or if they want it a little more specific and controlled, I might give it, I picture kind of an Alec Baldwin in my head, but I'm still going to read it in a way that is casual and is just telling you the story and not over worrying about the enunciation of everything that I'm saying. So that's still within that. But if they want that in a narrator tone, you will then clean up what you're saying, and you will get a little more specific, and you're going to enunciate a little bit more with your mouth, all of that. I don't know how well the mic is picking everything up here in the car because it's noisy on the freeway, but I'll find out when I master this for y'all. But so different forms of your own voice. It's always good to mess around and find those different placements and places of your voice. My natural speaking voice is not the voice that I book most of my work on. It's just not. Unless it's a video game or a animation where I'm playing some young kid, because my regular speaking voice is up higher and it sounds younger. So, Titus was up here, but when he was narrating, he was different. Listen to my story. He was right in here. But then when he was, saying everything else, when I do this, that's my signal, He was younger, so variations. Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet is more, he stays right in here. I don't go crazy with the voice. Clank, and I stay kind of in this, but it's pretty much just my regular speaking voice. Leonardo was somewhat like that, although with the TMNT movie, if you ever saw the one from 2007 that came out that I played Leonardo in, you'll notice there's different forms of my voice in there because we recorded the entire film, then it was bought by the Weinstein Company, and they had us revoice almost all of the movie. And so they wanted the direction they gave me was they wanted a very Christian Bale Batman sound for Leonardo. So everything ended up being more down in here. So if you watch the beginning of the movie, I am more in here. Well, April, you got some crazy friends, and it's all right in there. It's a long way from the city to just drop in. Those were the lines. But then later, when he's talking to Raph and he's arguing and he's up here, and it gets more, no, wait, And so there's variations in that voice, but it's still my voice. So find those variations in your own voice, mess around with it, see what you get. And strayed a little bit from the narrator thing, because I think I kind of, or announcer part, I should say, but I think I kind of made my point there that there is no point. They don't know what they're asking for. So when you do it, just be you. Anyways, hope you subscribe to the channel. Hope you like all this stuff. Somebody had recently asked if I would take all of the vlogs of me in the studio, in the booth, and put them into one playlist. And so they are all on there on the playlist. If you're new to the channel, go through the playlist. Look at the various different things. You may be going, I get this JAT 365 thing every day in my folder. What is that? Or in my notifications. That's a daily inspiration thing that's very different from any of my other stuff. It's very different from the Star Wars stuff or the Ratchet and Clank stuff or the Final Fantasy or anything else. It's very different. That's my way of trying to just inspire you. These vlogs are kind of a combination of all of it. I try to inspire you. I try to give you my take on life, tell stories to you, but also talk about my career as a voice actor. So you got playlists that are called In the Booth now, and that's just specifically those. Then you got the vlogs, and that's both those and these and all these other things where it's like I take you with me to, movie premieres or whatever it is I'm doing, wherever I can bring a camera in. Those are the vlogs. Then we've got Tell Titus a Tale. That's where you send Titus a joke. I've been getting a lot of them from you guys. Come on, send me some jokes. We've got A Moment with the Master. I'm going to be doing more of those soon. That's kind of a wise Jedi type character giving you some wisdom. And Clone Wars Conversations, the JAT Show. Let me give you an update on JAT Show here before I hit stop. JAT Show, I've recorded another episode with Jim Cummings. It's a great episode. It's a lot to do, but I've been focusing on Clone Wars Conversations so much lately. It's a lot of work in the studio editing, and JAT shows are a lot of work editing and stuff too. So I haven't had a chance to finish up the JAT Show number 2, but it will be coming soon enough, and there's just a lot of things I'm trying to put out there for y'all. Thank you so much, all of you that are subscribing to this channel and checking out all the various things. Please spread the word wherever you can. Show people the channel and put it out wherever you can on things. I know some people have put some of the stuff out on like Reddit and everything. I'm really appreciative for all of that. I'm trying to spread this word in as much as I can in a grassroots way. You know, I've never been one for like buying followers or subscribers or anything like that. I try to just do it by word of mouth, and we're doing pretty good. We're over 30,000 subscribers on this channel, and I think that's pretty great. But in a perfect world, I'd be at 100,000, and then I'd be much more of an influencer, and I'd be able to do a lot more, and I'd love to be able to do that. So that's my goal. So that's why I keep trying to put out all this great content for you, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you do like the content. You thumbs up, you share, you like, you subscribe. Thanks so much, guys. Stick around. There'll be more JAT Drives coming soon. See ya.